Okay, so the next question comes from Angie, who asks, do you think that brain retraining alone can cure Lyme-related symptoms? Angie, busting out the big guns. I love it. So there is a lot to unpack in this question, of course, when it comes to Lyme-related symptoms, but even more importantly, when it comes to the word cure. So I want to take a step back here for a moment, because there's a lot packed into this, but one of the things that we get into deeply in the Reorigin program is an understanding of health and healing that comes a lot from biological medicine, and this concept that the human being, the human body, is a self-healing system. What do I mean by that? Well, just consider for a moment if you've ever had a bruise or a paper cut and that wound is now gone. Sure, perhaps you treated the wound, you might have run it under water and cleaned it and sort of set the stage for healing to occur, but the things that you didn't do the healing, right? You didn't cure that wound per se. The wound actually healed itself when the conditions permitted. So how does that translate to brain retraining? Well, I see brain retraining as a process of cultivation. Rather than an event like taking a medicine and causing a cure, brain retraining is a process very much like exercise, such that when we engage with this process consistently, things will change. Now, imagine for a moment you go to the gym to do a particular exercise. Let's say you have a sprained ankle and you go to physical therapy and you do ankle rotations and a little bit of resistance training, and you start to build up strength in this ankle. Slowly but surely, you will build back the function, the innate capacity of that ankle to do everything it needs to do, right? And then the great part is, once you get it to a point where you can walk on it, you can run on it, you can jump on it, you don't even necessarily need to keep going back to physical therapy. You've restored the innate function of your ankle. So I view conditions and symptomology as very much the same way. Our body's natural default state is to be symptom-free, is to be in this state we know as homeostasis. And the role of an exercise or exercises that constitute brain retraining really is about cultivating the conditions that will allow for the body to return to homeostasis and those symptoms to naturally fall away. So again, when it comes back to this question of can brain retraining cure, this or that, cure a symptom or cure a condition, it isn't that the brain retraining is doing the cure. And even I think that that idea of a cure, again, is a little bit flawed in the sense that it sort of has us thinking along the lines that healing happens by event instead of by process. And again, healing is a process of cultivation. Now, I think the second part of your question, though, was, can brain retraining alone be sufficient to have this impact? Of course, we have a brain, which is incredibly impactful. And just to highlight on that sort of exercise example, the same way that exercise for your muscles or your body can be so effective, the reason that brain retraining can be so effective is that the brain is literally situated as this chief orchestrator of all bodily systems, all bodily functions, right? So you can just imagine if I train my bicep, it will have an impact over how effectively and efficiently my bicep creates elbow flexion, which is the role of that muscle. But now imagine if you train the brain, whose function involves things like activation of the innate immune system, inflammatory activity, digestive activity, how if we restore proper self-management to this organ, that this can have really far-reaching impacts on all other cells and systems and organs in the body. So that's why brain retraining can be such an upstream approach and so effective. Now, when it comes to should this be the only thing that we do, I don't believe there should ever be one thing that we focus on. We have a brain, but we also, of course, we have a body, and we want to continue to do the things that support our physical body, like get enough sleep, proper nutrition, lifestyle and stress reduction. All of these things always continue to be important, but I think the addition of brain retraining can really go a long way for a large number of people, if not everybody. I truly believe that brain retraining can be so effective, which is why I put so much behind promoting this and sharing this and creating programs around this. It is one of the relatively low-hanging fruit things that we can do that although not necessarily complicated, isn't super easy. And for that reason, we have this whole program and community that's oriented around, helping people implement science-based brain retraining, or what's known as self-directed neuroplasticity. But I really think, in my experience and from everything that I've seen, neuroscientists and doctors that I've spoken with about neuroplasticity, that it really is very much like exercise. If you do it in the right way, you use the right tools and techniques, and you do it consistently, your brain and body really have no choice but to change. So I would say give it a go. Don't stop doing the self-care things that we know are necessary and important to help nourish and support the body, but I really think that we have nothing to lose by adding the addition of a properly structured brain retraining regimen.